and welcome back to another past paper question and answer. So in this session, we will be answering questions from the past paper 2019 curriculum-based test. If you're joining for the first time, please go ahead and just say hello in the comment section to me and of course to other viewers. You can go ahead as well and type the school that you are checking in from so I know where in Jamaica you are checking in to our live from. All right, and don't forget to share this video, share this live stream with your friends, with your teachers, whomever you think will benefit from this. All right, let's get into it. We will be answering the first 20 questions, then we will take a 20-minute recess, and then we'll come back for the next 20. So let's start. So the instruction says that for the items 1 to 30, there will be one correct answer. And you will indicate this correct answer by shading the letter to the answer that you choose, just like this example here. So this first one, let me just go ahead and answer this first one. It says, what is the value of r if 7 plus 8 is equal to r? So you know, once you have an unknown, it's a variable, you do not know the answer to this, so of course you have to go ahead and solve to find the answer. Here it says 7 plus 8 is equal to r. R could have been box, could have been X or any other letter, or it could have been a symbol. So 7 plus 8 is equal to 15. So R would be equal to 15. And that is just for the sample question. Now let's move on to number 1. I would really appreciate it if you guys would share your answers in the comment section so that I can see those who are participating, those who need help, and those who are doing well so far. All right, so number 1 says the Venn diagram below shows the snack that some children prefer. If you look, U right here means the universal set. That means everything in this rectangle that we're seeing. Now the snack that the children prefer are Cheetos and Bigfoot. And we can look at the union, which is everything, all the students who choose Cheetos and Bigfoot. We know the intersection, which will be what students chose both Cheetos and Bigfoot. And of course, these students here outside who are not in any of these circles, these are students who are a part of the universal set, but they don't like Cheetos, they don't like Bigfoot. The question says, which student like both Cheetos and Bigfoot? Now in a Venn diagram, we know that each circle represents like a subset. So for this first circle, these students like Cheetos. These students here like Bigfoot. All of the students in this part of the circle like Cheetos, and all of the students in this part of the circle like Bigfoot. And if you look right here in the middle, you would notice that there are some students who like both Cheetos and Bigfoot. All right. So in the middle here, where some students like both Cheetos and Bigfoot, we call this the intersection. And these students are Mark, Justin, and Jane. Which option is that? A says Mark, Justin, Jane. So for number 1, our answer would be A. All right, let's move on to number 2. Number 2 says the expanded form of a number is shown below. All right, and we know the expanded form is where we have the face value multiplied by the value of the place. So here we have 2 multiplied by 1,000. That means the thousands place. 9 times 100, that's the hundreds place. 5 times 10, that's the tens place, and 6 times 1, that's the ones place. So let's go ahead. 6 times 1, so we have 6 in the ones place. In the tens place, we have 5 times 10, so that's 5 in the tens place. In the hundreds place, we've got 9, so that's 9 times 100, 9 in the hundreds place. And in the thousands place, we've got 2. So our number from this expanded form would be 2,956. Let's find that in our options here. All right, so that's option D. For the next question, I'm going to go a bit slower because I would like to see some responses in the comment section as we work. So, good job so far. Let's go to number 3. Number 3 says, what are the next 2 terms in the sequence below if the pattern continues? So the first number we have is 98, then 95, then 92, then 89, then 86, and we're asked to give the next 2 terms right here. I'll just pause a bit. You can go right ahead and share your answer in the comment section. You just need to put the next 2 terms. And I would prefer you put 2 numbers instead of putting A, B, C, or D, so that I can actually see that you're answering this number and these are your answers. So let's look at the numbers that we're given in this sequence so far. So we have 98, 95, 92, 89, 86. And from observing these numbers, it looks like we're counting backwards. Do you agree? Yes, we're counting backwards. So we know that because we're starting with a bigger number and each time we're decreasing by some amount, but we don't know yet. So let's look to see how many numbers are we, or how many are we decreasing by. So we're going down by how many? Here we have 98, then we have 95. And the difference between 98 and 95 is, so 98 take away 95, that would be 3. So that's the difference. Now from 95 to 92, let's see the difference here again. So 95 take away 92, we have a difference of 3 again. Great. So far it seems like we're decreasing by 3. Let's go from 92 to 89. So 91, 90, 89. We are decreasing by 3 again. And from 89 to 86, that would be 88, 87, 86. We're decreasing by 3. So I think here we have a rule that would be -3. So we're taking away 3 from the terms that we have to get the next one in the sequence. So let me see your answer in the chat. If we're decreasing by 3 each time. So if we have 86 and we decreased by 3, we would have what? That looks like 83. So our next term would be, would be 83. And then we decrease 83 by 3, that would be 80. So therefore, it looks like our next 2 terms are 83 and 80. 83, 80, that looks like option C. Thumbs up if you got this one correct. Let's move on to number 4. Okay, so number 4 reads, which of the following is not a factor of 4? And if we know what factors are, we know that these are numbers that we multiply to get a product, right? So if 4 is the product, what numbers could we multiply to get 4? Let's look at the options that we're given. So A is 1. Could we multiply 1 by a number and to get 4? Of course. 1 times 4 is equal to 4. That means number 1 is a factor of 4. Let's look at B. 2 times, can we multiply 2 times a number? Can we multiply 2 and a number to get 4? Yes. What number would that be? 2 times 2 also gives us 4. So of course 2 is a factor of 4. C. Can you multiply 4 and a number to get the product of 4? We already know this because we did 1 times 4 already. So 4 times 1 would give us 4. Therefore, 4 is also a factor. Let's see D, number 8. 8 times what number would give you 4? Let's 8 times a whole number here. So 8 times 0 would be 0. 8 times 1 would be 8. And as you can see so far, we have already exceeded 4. So we would say 8 is not a factor of 4. All right. Good job to those who selected 8 for their answer. Okay, let's move on to number 5. Number 5 says, which operation would be placed in the box to make the number sentence below true? All right, so the number sentence is 26 box 3.5 equals 91. 26 plus 3.5 would be, let's go ahead and check this out. 26 plus 3.5 would be equal to 29.5. So clearly that is not our answer. 26 minus 3.5 equals 91. We already know that the takeaway, the subtraction sign would not work because 95 is so much bigger than the number that we're subtracting from. Let's try multiplication. 26 box 3.5. So 26 times 3.5 is equal to 91. Let's see if this will work. 26 times 3.5. Yes, and that is equal to 91. So we would see here that 26 multiplied by 3.5 gives us 91. And if we need to check further, which I always advise that we do, 26 divided by 3.5 would give us, would not give us 91. But let's check to see what that will be. 26 divided by 3.5. There we go. 6.8 for stuff. So 26 times 3.5 is equal to 91. All right. Good job to those who have been working on this. So far. Let's move on to number 6. Number 6 says the diagram below represents the distance between town A, point B, and town C. Peter traveled in a straight line from town A to town C. The question asks, if he stopped at point B, which is right here, what percentage of the journey did he cover? We know that percentage means 100, so we know that right here is 100%. Here is clearly 0%. And we want to know point B, where it is. Now, I'm going to give you just about a minute or a few seconds to just work this one out for yourself, and then we will go through it together. All right, so from what we're seeing here on this number line, we know that if this is 0%, this is 100%, halfway, which is about here, would be 50%. Point B is just before 50%. So with that, we can either divide from point A to where the 50% mark is into equal places. We can also look at the options. So A is 4%, and that's so close to town A, somewhere down here. So of course, A is not a possible answer because look how far town B is, close to 50%. 20% would be less than half of 50% because half of 50% is 25%, and 20% is less than that 25%. 40% is pretty close to 50%, wouldn't you think? Yes. So point B could be 40%. D is 60%, which is more than 50%. So that clearly would not be an answer. So our best answer here would be 40%. We can also go back and divide these places into equal spots. So here 10%, 20%, 30%, 40%. We can divide that equally and still get about 40%. So for number 6, the percentage of the journey that he covered would be 40%. Good job. Let's look at number 7. Square numbers such as 1, 4, 9, etc. can be formed by adding consecutive odd numbers beginning with 1. Now, it's important that we know what a square number is. And a square number is made when we multiply a number by itself. As simple as that. Like, for example, 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 2 is 4. 3 times 3 is 9. 4 times 4 is 16. So on and so forth. Now, here it's saying that we are going to use this fact, right? So we are going to be using this fact where we're adding consecutive odd numbers starting with 1. So let's look at A. So consecutive, also an important point to note, is that numbers that come after each other in that order. And if we're talking about odd numbers, we're talking about consecutive odd numbers. That would be 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 in that order. So A is 1 plus 3 plus 5, which is 1 plus 3 is 4, 4 plus 5, 9. That definitely gave us a square number. And you would see 1, 3, 5 are consecutive odd numbers. Let's look at B. So this is definitely an example, and it asks for which is not. B says 1 plus 3 plus 5 plus 7. Let's see. So 1 plus 3, 4. 4 plus 5 is 9, and 9 plus 7 is 16. 16 is a square number. It's formed when we multiply 4 by itself. So 4 times 4 is 16. Let's look. So that is definitely an example. And you would realize that the odd numbers are listed consecutively. So 1, 3, 5, 7. So B is definitely an example of this fact. And we continue to look for what is not an example. 1 plus 3, 4. 4 plus 5, 9. 9 plus 7, 16. 16 plus 9, 25. And 25 is a square number. And let's look at these odd numbers if they're listed consecutively. So 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Great. So C turns out to be an example of this fact. Let's look at D. 1 plus 3, 4. 4 plus 5 is 9. 9 plus 9, 18. 18 plus 11, 29. Right. But there are two things here that tells us that this example is not matching this fact here. It's a non-example. So because first we have 29, which is not a square number. Second, 1, 3, 5, the next consecutive odd number would be 7. So therefore D is not an example of this fact. All right. Good job to those who were working ahead of me. Great. Okay, let's look at 8. Number 8. Read the rule below and use it to answer number 8. So in a pattern starting at the third term, each term is found by adding the two previous terms. Which pattern would follow this rule? Okay, so the rule is that in the pattern, if we look at the third term, that third term is the sum of the two terms before it. So let's look at A. 0 plus 1 are the two terms. 0 plus 1 is 1. And you would see that the third term is 1, and that's the sum of the first two terms. If we want to continue, we can say 1 plus 2 is equal to 3. 2 plus 3 is equal to 5. 3 plus 5 is equal to 8. 5 plus 8 is equal to 13. So this pattern definitely follows the rule, but let's look at the others. 0 plus 3 is equal to 3. 3 plus 3 is equal to 6. 3 plus 6 is equal to 9, but this is not 9. So of course this one does not follow the rule. 11 plus 121 is equal to 132, but that's not here. So this does not follow the rule. Let's look at D. 22 plus 44 is 66, but we have 88, so this does not follow the rule. Therefore, A would be the correct answer, as this pattern follows the rule that was stated above. Good going so far, guys. If you are not seeing your friends commenting in the live comment section, go right ahead. Just take a second or two to share this live session with your friends so that they can also benefit from this live stream. Let's look at number 9. The students in 6G were asked to name the sport they played. The data collected is shown in the Venn diagram below. Now, we did look at a Venn diagram before, so I explained what each circle, which is a subset, represents, what the middle part represents, and what these part represents. So we have an idea. We know what the different parts of the Venn diagram represent. The question is, what information do you need to determine how many students played cricket only? All right, so you'll see this question mark right here. That's what we're answering. We want to know, how can we answer this part? That is what we are trying to figure out now. Now, the information that we will need to figure this out. Let's see in the 4 options here which information we do need. Do we need A, the number of students who played football? I mean, why would we? Because we're trying to find who played cricket only. And especially since it did not give us a total here in the question, this information, we don't need it. The number of students who play cricket, yes. If we know the total number of students who played cricket, we could subtract the ones that play football also from that. Like this 15 here who plays both cricket and football. If we subtract this 15 from the total amount that plays cricket, we will definitely get the ones who play cricket only. For example, if it was like 25 students play cricket and 15 of those 25 play football, we would know that 25 take away 15, which is 10. We would know that only 10 play cricket only, right? 10 play cricket only. That would be a useful information. All right, now let's look at the third option. The number of students who play both football and cricket. We already have that. It's right here. So we don't need it. We already have that information. The number of students who do not play football or cricket. Well, we have that information, even though, I mean, this doesn't help us to find the ones who play cricket only. So for number 9, we would need this information at option B to figure out how many students played cricket only. All right, I hope that you are all following our discussion here. We are moving into number 10. Number 10 says, which of the following shows the reciprocal of the product of 5 and 6? Let's see what the product of 5 and 6 is. So the product of 5 and 6 would be 5 times 6. That would be 30. And reciprocal means that when we flip it, right? So if we have 30 here, we can write this as a fraction over 1. And if we're going to find the reciprocal of this, because 30 over 1 is the same as 30, if we're going to find the reciprocal of this, it means that 1 would now be the numerator and 30 will now be the denominator. So the reciprocal of 30 will be 1 divided by 30. That is option D. Just give me a thumbs up. Let me know if you understand this one here. That to find the reciprocal, you just need to flip the fraction. If the number is a whole number, turn it into a fraction by writing it over 1 and then flip it. All right, so let's move on to number 11. Number 11 reads, 20% of a number is 35. What is the number? We know that 20% is 20 out of 100, right? And 20 out of 100 is 1/5. So let me just put it here. 20% is 20 divided by 100. That's 20%. And let's see, if 20% of a number is 35 and we want to find the number, we could see, what fraction this is or what amount of 100 this is. So if we know what 20% is, let's work this one out. So we can just simplify this. 0 divided by 0, 2 divided by 2, 1, 2 divided 10 divided by 2, 5. So this is 1/5. So here it's telling us that 20%, which is 35, is 1 part out of 5 parts of a number. Now, if we want to see if 35 is 1 part out of 5 parts of a number, how could we figure out this number? Let me see in the chat. What operation could we use? What do we need to do then to see what this number is? 35 is 1/5 of a number. What's that number? 35 is 20% of a number. What's that number? All right. So, yes, we can multiply 35 by 5. Because if 35 is 1 part and we want to know all 5 parts, because that's what the question asks, what is that number? We could either add 35 5 times, or we could multiply 35 by 5. Help me to multiply this now, guys. 5 times 5 is 25. 5 times 3 is 15. And 2, 17. So that number is 175. Let's see if we have that in the options. Yes. So C is 175. Good job to those who already worked ahead and put their answer in the comment section. You're doing well so far. Awesome. Okay, let's move on to number 12. 50 sweets were shared between John and Mark in the ratio of 1 to 4 respectively. What was Mark's share? It means that we have a set of sweets and 4 of these. Let me start with, it says John. So one of this part was John's because it says 1 to 4. All I did basically when I was drawing this diagram is that I just added the parts. John had 1 part, Mark has 4 parts, so 5 parts. So I'm just going to, go ahead and just shade in Mark's part, which is the 4 parts. I like to draw pictures to understand a question better. And it's good if you like to do this too, because at least you will have a visual representation of what a question is, asking, or the information you have already gotten. So if John has 1 part and Mark has 4 parts, but it's 50 parts, how do we divide this 50 into 5 equal parts? I mean, simple. 50 divided by 5, right? And that would be 10. So if John has 10, Mark has 10 here, and 10 here, and 10 here, and 10 here, 10, 20, 30, 40. It means, therefore, that Mark's share is 40 sweets. Is that what you got for your answer? If you did, good job. You did not have to use my procedure. You could have done it a different way. Maybe you thought about it mentally. That's great. Maybe you drew a different diagram, or maybe you worked it out using, your own way. But whatever way you use, once it can be used with other questions to come up with the correct answer, that's great. You have already figured out your step or the way you would solve questions like these. Let's move in to number 13. Let me keep that on the screen for those who are writing these off. Number 13 says Mark, Stacy, and Jennifer all received their weekly salaries. Stacy received $3,000 while Jennifer received $9,000. The question is now, if the ratio of Stacy's salary to Mark's salary is 3 to 4, what is the ratio of Mark's salary to Jennifer's salary? All right, so we know that Stacy has $3,000. They didn't tell us what Mark is, but it says 3 to 4. Therefore, I would want to divide Stacy's share, what she got, in equal parts. 3 equal parts, and that would mean 3 equal parts of 3,000 would be 1,000 each, right? 1,000 plus 1,000 plus 1,000. Yes, that gives us 3,000, and that would be 3 equal parts. So if 3 equal parts, because each equal part is 1,000, is Stacy's share, and 4 equal parts is going to be Mark's share, how much money did Mark receive for his salary? Let's see what you think in the comment section. So Stacy has received $3,000, and we said that 3 equal parts of $3,000 is, the equal parts would be $1,000, right? Each. So if Mark is 4 equal parts, it means therefore that Mark received $4,000. Good job for those who said $4,000. Good job. Now, what is the ratio of Mark's salary to Jennifer's salary? Jennifer's salary is $9,000. And we know that the equal parts that we're working with is $1,000. So if Mark's salary is $4,000 and Jennifer's salary is $9,000, what ratio would this be? Of course, we can just simplify, or we can just think about it, conceptually, to know that if Mark's $4,000 is 4 equal parts, then Jennifer's $9,000 would be 9 equal parts. So Mark's salary to Jennifer's salary would be 4 to 9. So Mark's salary first, Jennifer's salary after, just like how the ratio is already written respectively. And that would be 4 to 9 would be option B. Nice. All right. Thank you for your participation so far. Let's move on to number 14. Which diagram shows the ratio of shaded to unshaded parts as 2 to 1? So it says shaded to unshaded. That means when you look at the diagram, the shaded parts must be 2 equal parts and the unshaded part would be 1. All right. So let's look at A. A has a big part and a small part. Based on what I'm seeing, I think the big part can be divided into 2 equal parts. So I can see 2 shaded parts here and 1 unshaded part. So 2 shaded parts to 1 shaded parts, 2 to 1. Okay, that looks like that to me. Let's look at B. Well, if the shaded part is bigger and the unshaded part is smaller, B could not have been a possible answer. C looks like the shaded and unshaded are equal, could not be a possible answer. And D, I'm not sure if I'm even seeing any shaded parts. So our correct answer for this one would be A. We can also think about this as 2 to 1 means we have 3 equal parts, but 2 of them are shaded and 1 is unshaded. So we can think about it like that. So we have the 3 equal parts here, 2 of them shaded and 1 not shaded. But it's important to note that the shaded part is the part that we're going to look at first, because that's what the question says. All right. Good job. Let's move on to number 15. And we are moving up to almost the end of this session. Remember, we'll take a 20-minute recess, then we will join again. So let's move on to number 15. So a child was asked to convert 16% to a fraction. There may be an error in the given solution. In line 1, this is what she has. Okay. All right. Now, let's look at this. Firstly, 16% is 16 divided by 100. And that would have to be line 1 if we're solving this, right? She has 16 divided by 10. And if you look at this, this would not represent 16%. So line 1 already has an error, okay? So because we should have 16 divided by 100. But let's look at line 2. Say, for example, she already has 16 divided by 10. That's what she started with. Even though it's an incorrect way of solving it, let's see if her line 2 will be correct based on her line 1. Or his or her line 1. 16 divided by 10. We could say 2 into 6, 16 divided by 2 gives us 8. 10 divided by 2 gives us 5. And you would see that this child's line 2 would be correct based on their line 1. So line 2 is definitely correct based on their line 1. Let's look at line 3. If we have 8 divided by 5, we would have 5 into 8 goes 1 time. That's our whole number. We have a remainder of 3, and we write that over our same denominator. So we have 1 and 3/5, which would be a correct way of also representing line 2. So line 2 and line 3 are both correct. And we already know that line 1 is incorrect. So which line could the possible error occur? Line 1, line 2, line 3, or there is no error? There is an error, of course. So our error found would be in line 1. All right, great job so far. Take a minute to maybe write this one down. I don't know. And we're going to move on to number 16. The line